We now have 5 Toy Story films, and I'm going to rank them all right now. Let's discuss. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel, or if you're new, then welcome on in. My name is Jay. In this video, we're going to be ranking all 5 Toy Story films. We're going to go from my least favourite to my favourite. I saw the most recent one, Toy Story 5, last night, so we're now able to do the full ranking with all 5 Toy Story films. Be sure to check out my review for that. Link is in the description. Obviously, spoilers ahead for all of the Toy Story films, though I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, you've probably seen them all before. The last thing I want to say, please do go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit the bell as well. That way you are notified when I post a new video. One of which, coming very soon, is going to be a ranking of all 31 Pixar films. So really excited to get on with that. But for now, let's just stick to the Toy Stories. Let's get started. By the way, we are not including Lightyear on this ranking, but if we were, it is right down at the bottom. At number 5, I have got Toy Story 4. Like many, I thought the first 3 Toy Stories made up the perfect trilogy, and then, a little while later, Pixar announced that Toy Story 4 was in development. Now, I shared the skepticism that many fans had when they announced that information, but because it was still a franchise, or a new Toy Story in a franchise that had never failed me before, I withheld my doubt. I was like, okay, let's just see where they go with this. I rewatched it recently in preparation for Toy Story 5, and I had similar thoughts to when I saw it the first time. It's only the second time I'd seen it since I'd seen it in cinemas all those years ago. I think it's a decent film, but the difference is that separates it from the original 3 is that there's both positives and negatives to it. Let's start with the positives. Firstly, beginning with the opening scene of the film, I think that it's a really clever way to open this new era. We're in this new Bonnie era now, but by starting with the flashback to Andy and when all the toys were with him, I think it's a really good way to remind your audience that you're not forgetting everything that came before. Yes, we're in this new era, but the time that we had with Andy is still of critical importance to where the toys are present day. Also, we get to see Bo again. We actually get to see her departure after she, of course, was absent from Toy Story 3. Rex brought Bo's departure up to Woody, and he got a little bit emotional, and we get to see exactly how that went down. The first scene, though, it really gripped me, and I was really impressed, not just with the emotional beats, we obviously have the tearful goodbye as Bo is taken away, but also how good the animation looks. I mean, Toy Story, the original Toy Story, was Pixar's first ever film that came out in 1995, and it's progressed so much. I love the way that the rain was coming down, everything was so photorealistic. We have the shine that's coming off Bo Peep's porcelain figure, because obviously she's an ornament. I just think it's looked the best that Pixar ever has. Speaking of Bo, I think after being a pretty minor character in her first 2 appearances, the film, and to be honest, just that opening scene alone, it does a really good job of showing how close Woody and Bo actually were in the first place. She did don a previous appearance, which we see in that opening scene, which has got the more stereotypical classic look that Bo Peep has. She's obviously got her hood and her big long dress. Later on in the film, as we meet her again, present day, it's clear that she's gone under a drastic overhaul. And I am curious as to how a lamp ornament is able to change clothes, but hey, maybe we're not really meant to think into that. She does have a lot more going on in this movie that, is a part of her redesign. The redesign accommodates for that. I can really imagine her going about and doing the action, doing the more flexibleness that she does in her old appearance. But I think also we've given her a lot more agency, which is good because in the first 2 Toy Story films, more so the first one, we really didn't have a prominent female character. I mean, Bo was there. We get to Toy Story 2, then Jessie was there, and then Toy Story 3, we do have that larger ensemble. But with Bo, they're really putting her at front and center alongside Woody, and I like her as a character. She was good. Unfortunately, though, having Bo as one of the leads does contribute towards the sidelining of the characters that we've grown to love. There's a bunch of new characters in the film, which many of which are welcome additions. We obviously have Forky, which many people find annoying. I quite enjoyed him, to be honest. Giggle McDimples, Duke Kaboom, Ducky and Bunny. We also have Gabby Gabby, but along with her, we have the horrifying dummies that I think were unnecessarily terrifying. I really, the dummies, I mean, I could have done without them. We've had lots of new toys be introduced to us in past entries, but the difference here is that they're being introduced at the expense of our main cast being stuck in Bonnie's RV for the entirety of the movie. Look back to Toy Story 2, where we had most of the characters, not all of them, but most of them, especially the main gang, they went on a quest to find Woody. Toy Story 3 had everyone in Sunnyside. Toy Story 4, though, it created just too much separation, in my opinion, which you could argue is deliberately setting up Woody ultimately leaving the main gang behind, but I would rather they still got to spend some more time together before that happened. Buzz, of course, is the exception to that, as he does leave the RV and join the main story, but his whole inner voice thing, maybe a funny gag, but it was so stupid. And Buzz is not a stupid character. We've come a long way since his first appearance in Toy Story when he thought he was a space ranger. It just feels now that as if he's taken unnecessary steps backwards. I did find Ducky and Bunny's plush rush very entertaining, and it did actually get me. It tricked me, even though I'd seen the film before. When I rewatched it, I thought it was real, as well as that the goodbye sequence, which I mentioned, or I mentioned there was a goodbye at the start for Bo. We get the goodbye at the end of the film with Woody, where he departs and he gives that sheriff's badge to Jessie, which I thought was fitting, emotional, and perhaps even unintentionally providing some setup for Toy Story 5. Okay, at the number 4 spot, I have got the most recent addition to the Toy Story franchise, Toy Story 5. Overall, and right off the bat, I found Toy Story 5 a significant improvement from Toy Story 4. In this edition, we have Jessie taking the reins to be our protagonist, and I think that's long overdue. She was introduced in Toy Story 2 and, was pretty center stage, but then, as we go on, she's part of the larger ensemble in Toy Story 3, and then in Toy Story 4, she is just left in that RV, like I mentioned. So she's had less and less to do, I think, as each installment has gone on, and so it was nice to see her, front and center for this movie. We obviously delve into more of Jessie's backstory that we already know about, but it's expanded upon, and we get some emotional developments to that. I also think that the hook of the movie, which of course is the invasion of tech and how children are becoming addicted to it, is a really smart one to incorporate into the narrative. Lilypad, of course, starts out as the movie's antagonist, but I was a big fan of the conclusion that they gave to her and her overall character arc, where they made clear that tech is it could be perceived as a villain, especially by the toys in the movie, but it is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and it's not something that can necessarily be defeated. It would have been easy for the movie to just exile Lilypad and for the toys to declare that a win, but Toy Story 5 doesn't do that, and I really respect that choice. I did have some disappointments with the movie, though, not as many as Toy Story 4, but a similar problem in the sense that some of the fan favourites, such as Rex, the Potato Heads, Slinky, Ham, they really didn't have much to do, only getting a few lines here and there, which is a bit of a shame. A lot of that, I think, has to do with the voice cast changing. Toy Story's been going for 30 years now, which is understandable, but we do feel as if we've left behind that era where all of the gang have a part to play in the story. The voice cast, I mentioned how that's changed a lot. A lot of voice actors have passed away, and that has led to some recasts where the toys do sound significantly different than they have in previous appearances. I did find that a little bit distracting. I know that that can't be helped, but I think that's part of the reason why some of the toys only have a few lines, because if they kept on talking, it's just going to become more obvious that it's really not the same toys, or at least the same voice actors that we're used to associating with the toys as we have done in the past. At number 3, I have got the original Toy Story 1, and to be clear, every film on this list now gets a 5-star rating from me. I think they're all perfect movies. The original Toy Story does a great job of introducing us to an ensemble of lovable characters, each of which has their own distinct personality and charm about them. The voice cast are perfectly suited to all of their characters, and I would pick standouts, but they all do a good job. Aside from Tim Allen's Woody and Tom Hanks's Woody and Tim Allen's Buzz, we have the late Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head, Jim Varney as Slinky, Wallace Shawn as Rex, and of course, my overall favourite always has been Ham, voiced by John Ratzenberger. A lot of the film's gags are constructed around the toy's personal functionality, which I thought was really clever. You obviously have Mr. Potato Head and his removable body parts, and we have Etch-a-Sketch and the drawings that he can create. Sid, as well, whilst not as powerful a villain as some of the others in my opinion, is disturbingly evil, and the toy creations that he creates are all hybrids of different objects that are just really unsettling. In terms of criticism, a lot of people do point to the outdated animation, with the caveat that it is released in 1995. I think you've got to remember that this was the first ever film to be made up entirely of computer generated imagery, and to me, that only elevates its legacy because Toy Story therefore serves as a foundational piece of media that influenced all animated films that came after it. Besides, I think the animation I mentioned, I think it holds up incredibly well, but I actually think it contributes to the disturbing appearance of Sid and all of his toys. I think that, it kind of works in its favor in that regard. At number 2 on this list, I've got Toy Story 2, quite fittingly, which consequently I'm sure you've figured out why I've got number 1, but we will get to that in just a few minutes. I think Toy Story 2, though, it takes what was so good about the original, and somehow Pixar goes, let's make it better. And they succeeded. Toy Story 2 proves the claim that every Toy Story is better than the previous installment, until Toy Story 4, that is, which I've already mentioned. Two scenes that stand out for me. Firstly, the Jessie montage of When She Loved Me, a heartbreakingly beautiful piece of cinema that I think is likely to get all audiences emotional, even the adults. I mentioned that female characters haven't always got a lot of representation in Toy Story movies, but here we do have Jessie be given the most poignant beat of the entire movie. That, of course, links into the Woody's Roundup Gang plotline, which includes Bullseye in his first appearance, alongside Stinky Pete, aka the Prospector. I like the reveal of Stinky Pete as the villain, and maybe it is a bit predictable, but I don't remember predicting it when I was a child. We also have that incredibly satisfying scene of Woody's repair all the extreme close-ups of his face and then even towards his eye and his different body parts. It's such a visually appealing watch, and it does solidify how much Pixar was becoming this untouchable powerhouse of animation in the late 1990s. Also, we have the Zurg and Buzz subplot, which I think was hilarious. I like the amount of Star Wars references that we get, and it makes a lot of sense, sorry, that those are made because Pixar actually started out as a Lucasfilm offshoot, obviously the creators of Star Wars. Also, can we bring back those Pixar end credit scenes because they were one of the best parts of the movie? Did you know actually there is a deleted scene, a deleted post-credit scene from Toy Story 2? It's not available on Disney Plus anymore. If you've got the video or the DVD, I'm sure you'll have it on there. But it is the prospector promising the Barbies who make their appearance in this movie a part in Toy Story 3. Yeah, a little bit problematic there, but I will link it in the description because it is quite funny. In first place, then, I think I've got the movie that a lot of people have placed there, and it is Toy Story 3. I don't think anything's ever going to replace Toy Story 3. It is a perfect movie. I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of it. I don't make any secret that Cars is my personal favourite Pixar film, and I think that's got a lot to do with nostalgia from my childhood, apart from the fact that it's a great movie. But Toy Story 3 really does challenge that top spot from time to time. In fact, when I was doing my Pixar watch this time, I did question, like, is it better? But I think, Cars did win out in the end. But if you told me that, probably the more popular opinion, that Toy Story 3 is the better movie, I would respect you for making that decision. There's just so much to love in Toy Story 3. I think the story of Andy going to college and outgrowing his toys is a really excellent time frame to set the movie because it allows the toys to undergo this new experience, which of course places them in Sunnyside Daycare. This preschool nursery, I think, is a genius location for the film to take place in because it opens up so many possibilities for things that can happen that isn't in Andy's bedroom, but also isn't outdoors, both of which has been explored before in Toy Story and Toy Story 2. The prison break attempt works so well. I love that transition that Sunnyside goes through when night falls and you've got all the toys in their cages. We've got the monkey watching on the cameras. Lotso, I think, is the best film that the franchise has ever had. He's got a backstory that gives we get an explanation to the viewer for what he's doing, yet it's not one that makes you side with his actions. He is evil completely, and I love that the film doubles down on that, on the moment where you think he might actually get redeemed. I'm of course talking about the crescendo of the film, the conclusion where we have all the toys. Well, not total conclusion, but near the end when they have them all in that fiery inferno going along the conveyor belt, seeing them all hold each other, only for that brilliant reveal that the aliens have come in, and you have the almighty claw. It just makes complete sense when you think that all hope is lost. It's cinema. I haven't even talked about the opening sequence, which of course is that fantasy sequence where Andy's playing with his toys. It's a great way to introduce us all to his toys again. If you've never seen a Toy Story, then you don't need to worry because you're getting caught up with who everyone is right now. My favourite part in that opening scene?
Oh no! The orphans!
On the flip side, that ending sequence to the film is emotional and memorable. The opening sequence gives every toy their moment, the middle features all of them, and the end also gives every toy their individual goodbye as Andy passes them on to Bonnie. It's perfection. That is all for this video. That's my ranking of every single Toy Story film. Toy Story 4, Toy Story 5, Toy Story 2, and then finally, the crown goes to Toy Story 3. If you enjoyed this video, then please do go ahead and give the video a like, and make sure again that you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell as well. Leave a comment down below, let me know what your rankings are, and I will see you soon for when I do my full Pixar ranking. I think I'm going to do it in the form of a tier list. I've not done that kind of thing before, but I would love to try it out. Okay, that is all for now. I will see you very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.